Whether we wanted it or not, anti-cheat is a requirement for online games these days. These anti-cheats let games run on Windows, but if you try to play them through Proton, typically they won't work without explicit support. The good news is that EAC Anticheat and Battleye has provided this support. However, things may not be as easy as they seem. In fact, this could spell some difficulty not just for Steam Deck users, but all Linux players. If you like my content, please like, subscribe, share with your friends, and join my Discord server. If you cheat, please stop cheating. Please just play the game and get good. If you don't, good. So if you've been following the Steam Deck for quite some time, like me, then you know that EAC Anticheat and Battleye are coming to Steam Deck. In fact, this also affects Linux users as well, so soon, Linux players will be able to join on the multiplayer action. That said, not a great deal of games actually have started supporting Linux yet. In fact, we only really started seeing games get support a few months ago, I'd say November 2021. It's a great first step, but there still needs to be more work needs to be done. The two biggest games I can think of that still don't have support for the Steam Deck or Linux in general are Apex Legends and Destiny 2. Both of these games continually top the Steam charts, and in the case of Destiny 2, whenever a new expansion comes out, it becomes top 1. For the hardcore gamers, it may not be a huge loss considering there's like, what, 55,000 games on Steam currently? But these are games that people play. I mean, the numbers don't lie. People like these games. In fact, I play a lot of Destiny too. You can see me playing Destiny right now. Why do you think Valve has put in so much time and work into courting these devs and anti-cheat devs as well? If you've seen my prior videos, you've seen my grand theory that Destiny 2 will come with Steam Deck support, and you'll even get a little emblem for playing it on the Steam Deck. With evidence, of course. Link in the description below. EAC Anticheat and Battleye both claim that you can enable this at the flip of a switch. Like it's as easy as updating your anti-cheat and then flipping that switch, right? At least that's what Epic Games would have you believe. So the first thing to take into consideration is that the underlying game itself still has to work under Proton. Hi-Rez, the developer of Smite and also Paladins, claimed that they have to do extensive testing to make sure that everything works and that balance isn't broken somehow. Also in the dev forums for Warhammer Vermintide 2, one developer mentioned that it's not as easy as it seems, and that it's entirely possible that they won't be able to get this support without being forced to basically implement Epic online services. And a ton of EAC games don't make use of, well, you know, Epic online services, so the chances of, say, Apex Legends being Proton compatible is pretty low. It's very unfortunate that Epic Games would take this route. A lot of their moves seem to be just to spite Valve for basically no reason. Anyways, there are other anti-cheats besides Battleye and EAC. I'm gonna look at two really popular games that aren't on Steam and they don't use EAC or Battleye. The first of which is Valorant. Valorant uses an anti-cheat called Vanguard, which is developed in-house by Riot Games. Vanguard is a kernel-level anti-cheat that only works when it boots your computer up. Basically meaning it's always on, and if you turn it off, then you basically have to restart your computer to be able to play Valorant. Due to the nature of this anti-cheat, Vanguard will never be supported by Wine or Proton, at least not without developer intervention, that is. If Riot Games really wanted to, they could have it work on Linux. They could somehow jury-rig the anti-cheat to work on Linux if they wanted to. But then the question becomes, would it be worth the resources? The next game I want to talk about is Genshin Impact. Genshin Impact uses an anti-cheat known as MiHoYo Protect 2. MiHoYo Protect 2 is an anti-cheat similar to Vanguard, except it's not quite as crazy as Vanguard really. But this also means it will never work under Proton or Wine without intervention from the devs. If you want Genshin Impact to work on the Steam Deck, Valve basically has to court these devs. Maybe convince them to bring it to Steam? I don't know, maybe. It is worth mentioning that MiHoYo has published games on Steam, or rather, a single game. It's one of their older gacha games known as Honkai Impact 3rd. It's worth mentioning that Honkai Impact 3rd also uses the same anti-cheat as Genshin Impact. The hope is that Valve will approach MiHoYo and maybe get Genshin on Steam. Of course, those aren't the only anti-cheat programs out there that aren't EAC or Battleye. There's a ton in Japanese and Korean MMOs. Of course, some games, like Final Fantasy XIV, work perfectly on Linux and, by extension hopefully, the Steam Deck. Final Fantasy XIV even has a controller layout which I've heard is very good for an MMO. Also, having anti-cheat not work would prevent it from getting the Steam verified logo. There is some good news for other anti-cheats. About a couple of months ago, a Redditor got in contact with Welbia, the creators of Xynecode 3. The email from Welbia claims that they're working on Steam Deck support and that they'll hopefully have it ready by release. Of course, we haven't heard back from them in like a couple of months, and this was before the Steam Deck got delayed, so who knows. If Welbia is true to their word, then we should have DJ Max Respect V working on the Steam Deck. If not for the cheaters in this world, really, we wouldn't have to be dealing with this crap. There are some concerns as to whether or not letting Linux players play these multiplayer games will somehow make the games more vulnerable to cheats. This is going to be a hot take, but I say no, it won't. For starters, Linux isn't really a popular platform by any stretch of the imagination. For hackers to care, they would basically have to overtake Mac OS. And when's the last time you've seen a cheater using a Mac to play games? And if we really lived in a Linux-dominated society, then we wouldn't even be having this discussion. Devs would be making games and anti-cheat for Linux. It would basically be no different than what you have already on Windows. Anyways, I don't see a whole lot of anti-cheat games getting support for the Steam Deck on day one, but I could see it happen later down the line. Of course, the statements from the Vermintide devs really doesn't give me a lot of hope, especially for easy anti-cheat games. You could also install Windows on your Steam Deck. You wouldn't have too much issue with anti-cheat there. That said, I made a Windows on Deck video explaining why you probably shouldn't install Windows on your deck. Check it out.